is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy, Sean Spencer, one half of that dynamic duo that is Let's Talk Football. And it's Sunday, ladies and gentlemen, game day. A big game today that we saw. Before I do that, got to shout out my guy, host of Big Nate Sports Talk. I'm messing that one up again. My guy, Nathan Snell. What up, Nate?
What's going on, buddy? How you doing? Good to see you.
I've seen better days, but you know what? I don't feel that bad, Nate. I don't feel that bad.
It's Sunday. It's good to see another day. That's what's more. That's what's most important.
That is what is most important now. After the game is over, okay? Because for 4 hours, there was only one thing that was important, ladies and gentlemen. That was the Ravens playing the Commanders. And the Commanders fell a little short. We came up a little short. Why, you ask? Because of that brick wall that Nathan is standing in front of. We tried to go through the brick wall, and the wall said, not today. Shout out R.I.P. the late, great Mutombo. Our guy, man, the Kimbe Mutombo. But look, let's talk about it, man. Let's go into it. Big game. Ravens lose to the Commanders. Very close game, a lot closer than maybe some people thought, or maybe, I don't know. I mean, it depends on where you are coming from. This is somewhat, the game that people expected, maybe not, whatever. Nate, you look at this 30-23, you look at how everything came in before the game. What are your thoughts on after the game today?
I think there's still room for improvement for both teams. For the Baltimore side, the defense is going to be a question. Especially the passing defense.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really proud of what those guys did today. I thought they were, and again, I know we're going into 6 weeks of the season, but I would have thought by now Zach Gore. Now we brought in Dan Pease to be kind of overlooking him, kind of giving him some help and trying to figure out and trying to carve a game plan. And I'm not seeing anything that was different. We got to Jaden a couple times today, and that was good. We did have a few careless mistakes, but I mean, offensively was pretty much the positive. I mean, if you take away the interception that was in Mark Andrews' hands, offense did its job.
Yeah.
So biggest thing for me was our pass defense. We guys got to really look in the mirror and got to hold guys accountable, because if you take away that third and something, I can't remember on top of my head now. It was on Nate Wiggins. I don't think the score would be what it is. So. And also too, that missed field goal that was actually that did kind of come back. So
yeah, it definitely does. But I think the bigger point, and shout out to people who are watching, Scott saying first, and Misa Dor saying, if you're Washington, you can't be mad at today. Listen, we played a team that a year ago, not even a full year ago, was one step away from going to the Super Bowl in the Baltimore Ravens. Now, I know my guy Nate will say this is not the same team. Maybe there's some differences here and there. I know some pieces, are no longer with the team, but Washington, coming in from a Washington perspective, we looked at it like that. Like, this is the cream of the crop. Going into this game, obviously we were 4-1. Washington was a buzz because of all the excitement and everything like that. So seeing that it was 30-23, seeing that the game was so close, it didn't feel that bad. Like, it's good that we got it done, but there are still some things that I definitely have concern with. You mentioned that field goal. We had to settle for a number of field goals or field goal attempts, and honestly, if we're going to go up against a team like y'all who are the caliber of the Ravens, that can't happen. Everybody is saying JD5 is so great. He's so this, he's so that. Yeah, that's great. And he's going to give you your 200 to 260, 250, 260. He's going to give you your consistency. He's going to be safe with the ball. But what they showed us is if you force him out of the pocket and you have linebackers and players that can run sideline to sideline with him, then that threat isn't so great. And I think I don't want to say we got exposed, but there was definitely something where I think,
You
you
got
know,
to you got to make adjustments.
yes,
Could
absolutely.
also too not having. I thought also too not having Brian Robinson. I thought that was a difference maker
Yes.
because really Austin's been always to me. I've always viewed him as a pass catching running back. I mean, don't get me wrong,
Hmm.
he can run, but really his bread and butter is pass catching. And then Jerry McNichols from the week before, I mean, he really wasn't utilized. I felt like from the jump, I felt like Washington really relied on the pass too much
Far too
because I
much.
think, especially, I think the way why Baltimore kind of came out and set the tone. So it's kind of like, well, we're the number two scoring offense. I think this was, if you look, both teams. I think, especially that first quarter, it was kind of like trying to figure out, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and I mean, I give Jaden Daniels all the credit. I think he's going to be a great quarterback in this league for years to come.
I hope
But
so.
I'm not. This game to me felt like a reality check.
Hmm.
Like coming into the week, the whole like it really, it really goes back to when the Commanders beat the Bengals. This we have our playmaker MVP.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
mean, 3 games to the season. I mean, already comparing him to a two-time MVP.
Which
Like,
let's stay there right now. Let's stay there right quick because I've had a number of Washington fans tell me that they've compared him to RG3, they've compared him to Lamar, and I love what Jaden said. I'm not those guys. I'm going to be the best version of me. Yes, does he run? Does he have the ability to get out of the pocket and run fast like Lamar? Yes.
mhm,
Does he have the excitement level and everything that he had like RG3? Yes. But this is an entirely different team, an
mhm,
entirely new regime here in Washington. And I think what we saw with Jaden is if you force Jaden to stay in the pocket, Jaden can go through his reads. He can look down the field. But I think you hit the nail on the head, Nathan, is that he's not a monolith. This is not a guy that can Lamar can do this by himself. And we've seen if the roster has not been the best, if he hasn't had the prototypical great receivers, if the line has been struggling, Lamar will still be able to find his way with his legs or even with his arm. Jaden, there's certain defense he still hasn't seen.
yes,
There's certain things that he still needs to work on where he cannot rely on his legs. And dear God, if you do not get down, daggone it, I
yeah,
will
I
yank you
agree.
out myself. Because
Yes,
that's a problem. He needs to get down.
or get out, run out of bounds.
Please.
Something because I noticed that way too many times today. I'm like, slide, get out of
Right.
bounds, you know, or throw it away if you can't find anybody. But I think
Mm-hmm.
also too, I think the one thing, and I appreciate this with Cliff Kingsbury. I'm all about you being aggressive,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes you got to come away and just say, I'll just take the points.
Yeah,
Like
I
I
agree.
like also to that no huddle thing, the no huddle offense. At times it worked in today's game, and then I felt like at times it was like, okay, no, we got to get down the field and score.
Mm-hmm.
And even in certain moments, like don't get me wrong, Jaden is great
Mm-hmm.
at making plays with his arm, but slow the game down,
Right.
like because I thought they were going to go for it on that last possession when they kicked the field goal, but I mean your defense gave up 30 points. At least try to make the game competitive,
Right.
but they felt as though
Well,
they could trust the defense, and then yeah,
well, and see that's the thing, and I understand where you want to give the quarterback a shot. You want to. They've been going this way for the entirety of the season, where they're saying, "Hey, look, we're going to go with you. We have confidence in you. We know that you can get it done. So let's give him that opportunity." But here, what we talked about was key. If your
yep,
run game is not working, then the defense doesn't really have to respect that.
yep,
And a lot of people look at it, and this is where I see where the comparison falls flat, where you have a guy like Jaden who you're saying, oh, he doesn't need anything. He can run and he can move. He can do it all by himself. Well, no, he can't. We've seen if the run game isn't there, Jaden struggles. And for the people that are saying, "Oh man, he is one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league right now, and he is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Man, go somewhere with that. Pump your
Yep.
brakes because he's not there yet, and nor should he be. He's still a rookie. He's still trying to come in. And if you look at the talent and the pieces, the teams that we've had to play coming into this game, a struggling Bengals team, a Giants team who we went 0 for 6 in the red zone against, a
Yep.
Cleveland team that
Lacks an identity.
lacks an identity, and then going into the victory against that was the Browns last week. So I mean, and the Cardinals in that Cardinals game, and they're talking about lacking an identity. I mean,
and injuries, in fairness.
Yeah, exactly. So yes, these were good wins. Yes, we did well in these games, but we had a certain game plan.
Yep.
We run the ball. We stay clean in the pass game. We continue to get the ball out to a number of different receivers. We win the time of possession. We didn't win the time of possession. We didn't win the turnover battle. We didn't win the first down battle. We didn't win any of those things. So if that's not happening, then that's where you want the quarterback to make up for that.
For that, right? Exactly.
If he's that guy, you want him to make up for that. And this is top tier talent. We know this is one of the best teams in the NFL, and especially one of the best in the AFC. And so this was a great measuring stick. But with everything that everybody's been saying about Jaden, this is where I want to see you elevate. This is where I want to see you come in there and say, all right, I'm taking over the ball game. And for me, I didn't necessarily see that this week. I'm not upset by that, but I do want these fans to pump their brakes on thinking that he is the only answer and everybody else needs to fix because he is perfect or he is great with what he is. And that is the problem I had in Washington. And I don't want it to overlook how good we played and how the game went, because I don't think it was all on him. And I'm going to send this to you. What we did on defense, we came in with a clear goal. Stop the run. And early on, we did that. One of my keys to victory, make Lamar beat us in the air. Well, talk to me, because when we started running that man and then the man zone and all that, he was picking us apart. Zay Flowers dag near had a flipping field day in the first half.
9 receptions in the first at so far. That's in the season.
Come on.
So
now. I mean, sat him on my fantasy team, of course. Of course. Thanks, Zay. Thanks.
No, like for me, I even said it too. Defend how we were going to come out offensively.
Mm-hmm.
We had to establish. You kind of saw it was a it felt like today was a balanced offense. Like I said, if you take away that, because those the 2 interceptions Lamar has thrown so far, it's been in receivers' hands.
Right.
And Mark Andrews makes that catch. I don't know how that drive would have looked, but you saw how the drive was going.
Right.
But for me, Washington, obviously, they schemed to contain Lamar, Derrick Henry, and Lamar running the ball.
Right.
Which they did. They had some plays where they made that. But as the game progressed, especially where you watched, you even hear like Tony Romo said, you got to go man coverage. I mean, how many times you see the middle of the field open, and then that's when the running game would come in. And I'm not gonna lie, I kind of saw at times guys kind of look a little fatigued, making adjustments. Like Zay Flowers, Saint Juice. I mean, he had a rough day.
He did.
Containing Zay Flowers. Mark Andrews, his first touchdown, and Mark Andrews, I have to apologize, because for me, I should have known better. This was his first touchdown. I knew he was going to get one. It was only a matter of time. But this notion that players are supposed to come back 100% after an injury is BS.
Yeah.
And especially a hip drop tackle, I think just getting on the field, to me, is step one. It was going to come to him. And also, too, knowing his role. I think he's arguably, if people get his pass catching ability, his run blocking ability. He was still involved in the offense. Likely had a couple catches. The one player that I'm telling people need to be on the watch out for, Rashard Bateman.
Yeah,
Rashard Bateman, the last 3-4 years, has gotten crucified.
Yep.
By Raven fans. He's looking spectacular last couple games. Made some nice big plays today.
Yeah.
had a couple catches in the middle of the field. He had a if on that end zone play that set up Tucker for that field goal, he was open because obviously they played zone, so they contained Lamar, which he got sacked for. But for that, but why? But I'm looking at Washington. Your playmakers that show up, Noah Brown is definitely going to be somebody to watch out for sure.
Mm-hmm.
He made a couple
Mm-hmm.
good plays. Zach Ertz,
Yep.
he kind of toasted us in the middle of the field too. But Terry McLaurin, he was ready to play. I mean, look, when the game came down to making the right plays and getting stops, Baltimore scored, what was it, 5, 6 of their possessions,
Mm-hmm.
especially one of those last bits of that game. That's and you kind of see like, okay, time's on their side because we did take some clock. I think Baltimore held the clock, held the ball most of the time. It was so close to 30 something minutes.
36 to 23. Yep.
See, and again, that like run and gun thing, I can tell like that's what Cliff's trying to run
Mm.
with the no
But
huddle.
even with that, and we lead the league by far. I think we had like 150 some odd no huddle snaps to the closest team has like 50 or 60 or something like that. So that is his method. And I like when he's doing that, but the biggest thing that allows that to work is having the run game. And that's what he's been able to do this year, where when he has the court, when JD5 gets in there and runs that no huddle, hit a quick pass, hit one of those screens. You get 4, 5, 6, 7 yards. You come up to the line and you check, and then you hand it off. And now you get a couple, 2 or 3 more yards from B-Rob, who always is falling forward. So when you don't have that, run game to complement JD5, and not even complement, in my opinion, that hides a lot of, that disguises a lot of the issues that Jaden might have. You know what I mean? He does hold the ball too long. Sometimes he wants to throw it to the safe pass, or he wants to get it to, this and that. That's perfect on the stat sheet when it says, oh, he doesn't have, that many interceptions or any interceptions. But on the flip side, you need him to make a play. And sometimes you got to go out there and push the ball in. And to your point, we're getting the ball to some of the wide receivers. Ertz got it, Terry, and shout out to Noah Brown and Eckler got some, and that's all great. But when we don't have the run, and that side of our run game, we had under 60 yards on the ground. When the run game gets shut down and you make our team one-dimensional, you saw what happened. You saw, and they're too good of a defense for us to be able to overcome that. On top of that, we lost penalties. You had 6 penalties for us.
Compared to our 3,
You guys outgained us on first down. Third down was key. Y'all had 6 and 10.
Y'all had 4, 12 too.
I mean,
but they weren't afraid to brag about Washington. I think going on that before that penalty was 7 of 7 or 8 of 8 on fourth down. Mm-hmm. I'm like, well, you didn't need to get to fourth down,
right?
If you would have converted on third down,
right?
So it's like,
yeah, and see, and this is the difference in these games. When you're winning, that 7 for 7 is, oh my God, look at these guys, man. They're trusting these guys. They're letting them play. They're doing it, yada, yada. But then on the flip side, when it doesn't work today, then you see the glaring hole of, well, why were we on fourth down in the first place?
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe we're on fourth down because third down we're not successful. Maybe we're on fourth and we're trying to go for it because, well,
we're on the road and we're losing. We need to generate a spark.
Right. And these are the type of things where it's like, okay, if this is how you're going to come into the game with every drive is 4 downs, okay, I respect it. And it was nice when Tressway wasn't punting those 2 or 3 games, but was he not punting because we were doing so good, or was he not punting just because, okay, we're just going to keep going for it on fourth down and we just been getting it? That's the thing. Mm-hmm. In these 4 wins, yes, we've been succeeding on a lot of this stuff. Yes, we've been able to get the fourth downs. Yes, we've been getting the time possession X, Y, and Z, but the other side has helped. Those offenses that we played have been kind of subpar, and our run game has dominated. Our ability to, our balance on offense was key. We win the time possession. These things were all happening. So that is why they happen. One does not happen without the other. And that's why I sit here and I try to knock these people down talking about Lamar, JD5, 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 because I want people to understand when you play a team like Baltimore, when you play a team like that, if you don't play a balanced attack like Baltimore did against us today, you're going to lose. You're going to fall short.
But also too, and I think this is also too, I think where the delusion comes in. While everybody bragged about the being the Bengals, need I remind you that Cincinnati, they didn't punt the ball or turn the ball over. So like, did you really? I mean, outside the one interception, defensively, what did Washington do today? Like that's like I'm not throwing shade. I'm just being honest. I mean, you forced one punt and one interception. That's not going to win you a football game.
That was
I
early.
mean, if to me, in order for Washington to win games, you have to be the best offense on the field. I mean, which today they were not. And then I mean, they allowed Baltimore they had 2 plus 90-yard drives, including that 78-yard. That can't happen.
Yeah.
And I mean, this was, I don't want to compare it to the Bengals, but that's what it was like when they played Cincinnati. Almost. It was, you didn't get stops.
Yeah.
So how can you expect your quarterback, if that's the case, he has to play from behind? That's impossible. The defense, when it mattered, didn't step up. And also, too, losing Jonathan Allen and then Armstrong.
Yep.
I thought that hurt your front. That hurt the front four.
That was huge.
So, and then on top of that, too, that's where I think the fatigue kind of set in, because it's like now you're relying on other guys to kind of take in those roles. And then, as the game progressed, you saw Derrick Henry, the power I formation cheese. That's you wearing those guys out. So, I mean, like, to me, like, again, this game for me is a reality check for both teams. Washington has promise. They will be a good team. There are going to be games like this. But if with the numbers Jaden had today, if that's MVP numbers,
right.
Lamar Jackson if today should be the MVP, because again, this whole week, just the things that you were hearing on ESPN, other networks, and even on social media, if Jaden beats Lamar, we got to have this conversation of MVP. Well, guess what? Lamar stayed quiet, and Lamar did what he needed to do, and it could potentially be on his third MVP conversation. Derrick Henry's up there too. But
Derrick Henry definitely needs to be up there.
Yeah. But like I said, I thought the game really was honestly over when it was really, like I said, the 2 minutes. I didn't get that. I thought they were going to try to, especially in the fourth, I thought they were going to try to get the ball back. But you had, to me, the 2-minute warning. This is where coaching bothers me. The 2-minute warning is essentially if you have all three timeouts, right?
We had two. And then coming into that drive, we had 2 timeouts and then 2-minute warning. So we had 3, yeah.
Three timeouts. He burned his first one on the Derrick Henry run. And I'm like, no, save that. Because you technically have essentially 3 timeouts. Because if the goal is to get the ball back, let it go to the 2-minute warning.
But we knew y'all was going to run the clock down. So I can get the mindset behind it. And the strategy was, okay, can we stop them? And this is the thing. You look at the stats, and Derrick Henry ran for, over 140 some odd yards on the ground on us. 132 yards on the ground with 2 TDs. That, in my opinion, is misleading. A lot of that is the second half, and a lot of that is more in the fourth quarter once he's really starting to go downhill on us. So there was a thought, at least from a fan looking on, that we can potentially stop him. There was a lot of runs that we were getting him knocked down. We were getting him, for short 1, 2, 3 yard gains. But the difference was throughout the game, the second half, the passing game opens up. Now the running game, those lanes open. So we knew in the end what y'all going to do. Everybody in the stadium knew what was going to happen.
Right.
And even though Harbaugh was to say we're not going to give him 30 some odd carries and he only gave him 24 today, we still knew it ain't going to anybody else.
We're going to keep throwing that in his face because you brought him here for something.
Right. It was this part of the game. So,
but also, I was disappointed with Justice Hill. I think also too, I think it was the scheme. I like the week before. I'm like, oh, okay, like Justice really couldn't get anything going. I mean, he made a couple plays, he made quite a few good plays, but for the most part, I think defensively, like Washington did every little thing that they could do. They just did not have to me. They don't have the personnel to one contain Derrick Henry, and on top of that, to stop the passing game. Because I mean, Lamar was at 313 yards passing the ball. So it's like, did you really have an effective? Your defense, when it mattered, didn't get the stops. So, but I will say the play of the game though for Washington for me was when you guys went for it, Jaden on that dime to McLaurin because it was on Brandon Stevens. And Brandon Stevens, listen, you went to FIU. This is my biggest criticism of him ever since he came out of college. Please look at the fucking ball. He never does that. He never turns his head. It bothers me. It's like statistically, well, he's locking guys up because he doesn't turn his head. Like, turn and look. Damn.
Yeah, no, I get you. I get you now, and that's and look, I mean, secondary was an issue on both sides. I mean, you talked about St. Juice. I mean, Forbes wasn't in there. Shout out to Sammer still early for getting that play, but then there was a number of plays later down the line where he wasn't. They weren't doing it. We weren't containing it. And maybe it was the play calling. Maybe it was how Joe Witt Jr. had the defense set up to where now we're kind of in zone where we're pushing everything out to the boundaries and that middle of the field is wide open. You talked about Andrews. You talked about Zay Flowers torches earlier. But and this is the key, Rashad Bateman. We've talked about him as, underperforming, underachieving, all this and that. Yep. He was wide open a number of times today.
Especially in the middle of the field.
And that to me was very frustrating because it was kind of like, okay, guys, I understand our issue is the secondary. That's fine. And honestly, it's pick your poison. Because my biggest thing as a former running back, stop the run. You stop the run, you make Lamar pass. But for all of you that think Lamar is a runner and not a passing and not a quarterback,
that's
somewhere else.
So my apologies for cussing. It's frustrating with Brandon Stevens because
I understand.
It's just like even if he just turned his head and just kind of baffled it. Yeah. He didn't do that. So that's been frustrating. But then also too, like, maybe you guys shout out to Will Kramer too. I didn't notice. I didn't pay attention to the injury report until I saw it earlier today. I was like, Emmanuel Forbes is a healthy scratch. Are we not confident with Emmanuel Forbes? Like, we just throwing the towel? Like, what's up with that?
I think it might have been us. Let's try and make sure he's 100% healthy.
Sure.
And in a type of game like this, I mean, let's be realistic right now. He's not – this ain't one of your top guys. This ain't, one of the guys up here that you're like, okay, if he's out, it's going to be a gaping hole. I think we schemed up for what y'all did, and it's a testament to y'all how y'all were able to consistently move the ball and that, how y'all were able to kind of beat us with the game plan we had. But as far as St. Juice is concerned, look, I mean, the jury is still out, in my opinion, on him. I know injuries have been something that a number of, that he has been dealing with, and, with him having that being healthy scratch today. But at the same time, I do think it's one of those things where it's like, okay, let's either play for the long term. Again, I'm not in their heads. I'm not in the organization, so I don't necessarily know. But I think let's play for the long term and let's get him in there. We got Carolina next. So if they're going to if he's out for the Carolina game, then I need to then what's going on? Because if he can't come even hobbling into that game, we have a problem.
Mhm.
But for me today, him not being out there, I was kind of relieved because there is times when he's out there and he has been playing a lot better. But there's times when he's out there where he's a liability, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
But other than the first quarter, I mean, both teams in the first quarter didn't have a penalty.
mm-hmm.
The referees, I did see some very questionable calls. I
All game. Yep.
question. Okay, the one. Let's start with the Dante Fowler Jr. one.
Hmm.
That should not have been a flag because
Hmm.
I mean it wasn't a hip drop tackle, so they
Hmm.
took that one back. That was fine.
Hmm.
Um,
On
so,
Lamar.
yeah, Lamar.
So what did
That
they
was
call? Would they call a hip drop? I thought they called a horse collar.
so he grabbed him by the back of his jersey. Horse
Oh,
collar is when you go by like on
right,
his neck,
right.
but he
Yeah.
grabbed him by the back of his jersey. That's not enough to say horse collar. And then
Okay.
I thought when he tackled him, it was enough to say it was a hip drop, but they said no. But that thing they kind of got that one wrong. That's just my opinion.
What did they call?
Um,
They called the hip drop,
they
or they
took they,
called
they
the.
took they took it they took the flag back.
They took it back. Okay.
So and then um, the one with Bateman and Juice.
Hmm.
Bateman slipped. He fell.
Bro, I was like, did he even touch him?
I mean, you can
Where's
see
the contact? I was hot on that one. I was like, no. I was like, all right, Baltimore,
but
what y'all doing?
the one that really bothered me, and it was a blatant one, was the Andrew Whitley holding call on Oweh.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, what
Yeah.
what are you like?
Yeah. Yeah. There was, and that was an issue. But again, when you go up against playoff and potential Super Bowl caliber teams, you
Mhm.
have to play a nearly perfect
The
game.
game.
And
Yeah.
you cannot leave it up to the refs. So if
To
there's
bail you out of the
anything
game.
that's in question, they're going to call that. So that is on the guys where they've got to be better than that. Like, you can't make those plays because we have yet to prove that we are the type of team that can overcome that when we're going
Right.
up against a good team. If
And
we're
then
playing the Giants or Bengals or Cardinals or teams that are struggling, Cleveland, then yes, we can get those penalties and
we
then
can get away with that because they're not
right.
yeah.
But we're not
But I
going to do
mean,
that against Baltimore.
no. And then on top of that, when they wanted one on Kyle Hamilton roughing the passer,
Mm-hmm.
I thought roughing the passer was the ball is still in his hand and he like slams to the ground, kind of just like pushed him. The one on Terry, the unnecessary roughness, that's a football hit. I mean, but you had to call it. I did actually have a question on the last play. It's not funny, but obviously the game. You need to stop. You already burned all the last few timeouts. It's a 3rd and 3. Obviously, they'll stack the line to stop Derrick Henry. Hands it off, pump fake. Lamar comes, cuts back out. Jeremy Chin kind of hits him outside, and I'm thinking like, okay, where's the yellow? Where's the flag? Throw that. Did you feel like that should have been a flag? Do you think that was I'm gonna sell that?
Listen, if your quarterback wants to run out the pocket, okay, whatever happens to him in between the white lines, it's fair game. That's what I got to say. No, I honestly, from what it looked like Lamar, and first and foremost, that was the most. Shout out to y'all because it didn't matter how transparent it was, but I was calling that. I was like, they're going Derrick Henry, they're gonna play action. They're gonna fake off that and give him a boot. This is the time when Lamar takes over the game. But if you see, he runs to the sidelines, and towards the sidelines, he kind of slows up to kind of be like, and then do a little jump out, and Chin checked him. Chin,
Yeah.
No pun intended. But Chin got him, and
he did.
It was right between, but at that point, that was for the game. The game was over. And if you saw, I said this to you, you saw kind of, Washington players came and Ravens players came, and everybody's jawing.
Like, do something.
But nothing. No, it was like an NBA fight. Like nothing.
I will say this: if it was more of he came like full speed,
yeah,
then I'm thinking it's definitely going to be some hands thrown. But it was
Yeah.
one of those, he just pushed him, and it was like, hey, like, come on now. But what was
Yeah.
so funny was the refs didn't even blow the whistle, and the play clock kept going.
Yeah.
That's what got me. I'm like, did he not go out of bounds? Is the like blow the whistle or
No,
something?
nope. Nope. They just
Uh,
let it happen. We just said that was, that was Baltimore. They're just trying to get in the game. But I mean, at that point, you knew, and that was the thing about that drive towards the end. You guys knew, and we knew what had to be done, and you
yeah,
guys knew, and we knew how it was going to be done. Now y'all torched us in the air throughout the ball game, but we knew at the end of the game, you won the game on the ground. You were going to come. You
come
were going to
back,
win the
finish
game
it.
on the ground, and that's what it is. Derrick Henry,
Yeah,
Derrick Henry, Derrick Henry, fake. Now Lamar,
yeah.
and what happened? I mean,
And
between the two of them, they had over was 160 yards. Cause he what?
well, let's see. Lamar, Derrick Henry rushed for 132, two
So it was like
touchdowns.
174 or
Yeah,
172. Yeah.
but then
So
also too, I mean, you look at the offense as a whole, 484 yards total. I
right,
mean,
right.
that's pretty much that is pretty damn impressive. So I mean, the
Mm-hmm.
week before, what was it? We scored 35 on Buffalo, was 427.
Mm-hmm.
Cincy 520, 41 points, and then today 484, 30 points. But me personally, I don't even think you need Devontae Adams in this offense. We need
Hmm.
to make a trade for the secondary because, Lord have mercy. I mean, Marcus Williams. I mean, I get it, injuries, but that one play, that was the first touchdown for you guys. He faked Marcus Williams. Marcus Williams was looking. He pump faked. Terry got behind him.
Yeah.
You got to know that. And
And
then
that's the thing. I want to make sure that people aren't thinking that I'm bashing Jaden, because
no,
there was a lot of plays in that game, and that one in particular, where you start to see, okay, he can hang with the big name defense. He's seen
mhm,
where the play calls were, and even that play, it was a perfect pass right over that defender's hands, right into the back of the end zone. Give Terry an opportunity to make the play on it, and he did. We get the touchdown. I love that. That is what we need to see.
yeah.
My only issue though was there was too many drives, and we've seen this in the games that we lost, and we see even in the Giants game where we won, where there's too many drives where we're having to rely on the kicker. We're driving down, and be it a penalty or just be it the passing were incomplete, or us had the lack of a run game, whatever it was in this game, we were not able to score touchdowns. And I've
Can,
said this in the
yeah.
beginning: you can't go field goal for touchdown when a team like the Ravens.
But I want to say something on that because, again, because you have been very firm with me about don't listen to what the national media says all the
Mm,
time.
mm.
But I find it funny, right, that everyone is saying he needs to be in the MVP conversation. He's
I hate
definitely my
that.
rookie. He's
Yeah.
definitely rookie of the year.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a question. If he's going to be in the MVP conversation, then explain to me why it took 7 field goals to beat the Giants.
Mm. Mm. Eh,
Why couldn't you? I mean, outside of, I mean, you made plays against the biggest play was against the Terry McLaurin, it was against Cincy,
mhm.
but even in this game, like below 300 yards, there wasn't really anything dynamically I could say where he outplayed Lamar.
Mhm.
He made smart plays with his arm when he needed
Right.
to, but I felt like defensively, Baltimore planned like, okay, contain.
Mhm.
You want to route this pocket, go right ahead.
Right.
You want to beat us with your arm. So, um,
And we've
I've
seen
listened
that for the last couple weeks.
weeks, and I think again, I just think because of outside the Tampa loss, the 3 teams that Washington's beaten, I think has given this delusion of like, okay, but um, Carolina, that should be a win. Now we have to play Tampa. I'm not gonna lie. I'm actually kind of scared to play Baker
Mhm.
Mayfield now. But I mean, really overall, today's game, when you see this is the third time in NFL history you've seen a reigning MVP and a Heisman go up against each other. 2 quarterbacks faces their franchises. I think you have winning football in the DMV,
Mm-hmm.
DC, Maryland, Baltimore's in Maryland,
Mm-hmm.
Virginia. Okay. Um, you just see winning football. I think again because you haven't seen it in Washington for consistently, and I think today people kind of it's kind of like last year
Hmm.
when we face each other in the preseason. Oh, we're going to take that streak away.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Didn't we?
Well,
Didn't we take that
not
streak?
you did.
We did. We did.
Yes, you did.
Is this payback for the streak? Is that what happened? Is that what this was?
No, I
Oh,
just think
you guys aren't even thinking about that. You're too
no,
high.
because I think we only think well we went 1-2 this preseason, if I remember correctly. So
Preseason don't matter.
yeah, but I mean, it was a good football game. I wasn't it's like some people were unrealistic with the scores. Like one person said 45, 41.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody said like no.
You hit it on the head. And for those of you that didn't see, Nate joined myself and Will Kramer on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
Nate said 30-21,
Mm-hmm.
and that was his score. For me, my score, I said 30.
I think you said 30, 31.
34-31, I think I
Yeah.
said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I
Will
was
kind
not
of like
far off
Will's
on
was something
y'all,
like
but I
around,
gave us
yeah,
an extra touchdown or two in
touchdown.
that one. And then Will said something to the effect of 34-30 or something
30
like
or
that.
something like that. Yeah.
So we
Well,
were
yeah.
yeah, we were pretty secure on what we thought y'all was going to
Right.
put up. I think we we all got kind of caught up in the hype of Washington and what we've been doing and can we keep this up? And we saw what y'all did against the Cincinnati. And I think that was a big deal.
No,
And
I
this is
will
what
caution you. Be careful because if knocking on wood, if Washington starts struggling,
Mhm.
you see how some of these Stephen A. Smiths and Emmanuel
Oh, yeah.
Achos on the money wagon.
Oh, yeah.
1 ounce of struggle.
Well, and that's my problem. That is my problem, Nathan, because for years I have been here when they were terrible. And everybody and their mom wants to come out like they're an analyst and like they watch everything. It's the coaching, it's this quarterback, it's this player. No. If you're not watching in depth, if you're not going in detail and really picking out what's going on with this stuff, you look at our coach now, Dan Quinn, and he says this is not a rebuild, it's a recalibrate because he was left a number of good pieces from the previous regime because he respects it. And that's not, in my opinion, that's not something that he says just to, for stuff and giggles. He's saying that because that's what he believes. And when you look at it, I understand why people look at those 4 wins and it's exciting because we don't do that. We don't win games we're supposed to win, especially not to the likes of the Arizona game where we put up 42. You know what I mean? Or, we look at even the Cincinnati game on Monday night in primetime in their stadium, putting up those kind of numbers. These are things that Washington doesn't always do. So you can see there's a difference in it. But this is where I totally agree that we have to pump our brakes because when you look at this wasn't anything that we didn't already see coming. Our secondary is piss poor. Forgive me, but they are very bad. They are very bad. And y'all went through. I thought we did a great job on the run. And people will say, well, there was almost 200 yards between Lamar and Henry.
That first half.
Right.
Yeah,
and you gotta think we missed the 1 field goal. We had to settle for another field goal when we
that first field goal that got blocked. I thought that kind of was that was a deciding factor right there too to me.
Even beyond that, even the fact that we have to kick that, I think it kind of tends to chip at the confidence because when you come off games where what are we? We were first or second in points scored.
Second, I believe.
Yeah. So you come off that and we put up 38 against Cincinnati, who was a playoff team, who's winning the Super Bowl a couple years ago. We put up 42 against Arizona, which still something we don't do, and we hold them to 14 with a decent team. We're putting these numbers up, and even in the Cleveland game, Cleveland played kind of similar, in my opinion, to how they played when we had them with Carson Wentz. They weren't that great, but we didn't do anything in that game. Last week, we actually struggled for a good portion of the game, and then we showed up later on.
Can we
And
not
people,
bring up the Carson Wentz game in Cleveland?
bro, I look, we can do that because this is growth. When people mature, okay, they can move on. Ladies and gentlemen, Carson is no longer watching, and thank you because myself and Nate, we did not see eye to eye on Mr. Wentz, but it's okay because he's gone.
No,
all right?
because my favorite because shout out to you and Will Kramer. You guys, I mean I didn't mean to change the subject, but when you guys broke that game down and the pass where he threw it in the dirt, I can't defend that.
What do you want me to say to that? I was done with him, man. But he's not here. And you know what the funny thing is? You have to have a Carson Wentz. You have to have a Taylor Heineke. You have to have a Ryan Fitzpatrick. You have to have all of these issues at quarterback for us to get to the place where we were at to pick up a Jaden Daniels. So all of that, while it was very painful to go through, absolutely brought us to the place where we're at now. Yep. And obviously Dan Snyder taking him out of that regime,
Thank God.
That was a big deal in itself.
I did have a question. Would the last possession you touched before the game, would you have gone for it or took the 3?
Took the 3. Take the points. Got to take the points. And this is the thing. I firmly believe that Washington felt that we have not played poorly against the run. The stats might not say something, and they might be indicative of a totally different narrative. But in my opinion, I truly felt like all we had to do was make a couple stops, and then we can get the ball back, and then we're in this thing. But I'm not going to lie to you. Once y'all went up 27-13, for me, I kind of sat back and said, okay, let's take our lumps and let's move on. Not that we could not come back in that game, but I was very frustrated that we had even gotten to that point, because at that point we had missed the field goal. At that point we had let a number of opportunities slip between our hands. And so for me, I was very frustrated at that. So when we got down by 2 scores, I knew only thing we were going to be able to do was pass. But you guys were not worried about our run game. And that when all you had to do
that's
is
what I was worried about coming in the game, because I didn't know Brian was out until literally this morning.
Yeah,
so I'm like,
here.
oh, okay. Like, but Austin Eckler and then Jeremy McNichols.
Yeah,
this was the guy that stepped up in Austin Eckler's spot when he was out with a concussion.
Yeah, and even to that, and this is where, guys, you cannot make so much of these games. You got to be realistic in what happens. You got to be realistic with this game, because I've seen a bunch of Washington fans like, all right, man, that's good. Hey, we needed to get our bubble pops. We needed to do that. No, if you've been paying attention to this, you saw this coming. We have not played a legitimate team. None of the teams that we won against are going to make it to the playoffs. I mean, let's be very honest. Maybe Cincinnati.
Arizona's got a couple that start 0-3 don't make the playoffs.
Right.
So there's only one. It's the stat was 1 in like 120 something.
Right.
That have gone to the playoffs. I think that was a team that went during the pandemic. I can't remember who it was.
It's not, and that's the problem. It's not happening. You got Cincinnati, who was 1-4, Cleveland, who was 1-5. What is it called? The Giants, who are 2-3.
Yeah,
and then you have Arizona, who's struggling. And then you look at the teams that we lost to. Y'all, top of your division. Tampa Bay, they put up 51 on the Saints today. So when we play playoff teams, we're not there yet. We're somewhere in the middle of that. And I love what we see. But guys, when you have the 9th easiest schedule, you
better win, because then, like, looking at the next 5 games for Washington, Carolina, Chicago, the Giants again, Pittsburgh, Philly.
Yeah.
Compared to Baltimore, we had to play 10 teams that made the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
Jaden, respectfully, he's had it easy these first 5 up until this game, easy. We had to play Patrick Mahomes, Dak, oh my gosh, Joe Burrow.
And
then
I mean, come on now.
And we had to, yeah. So I mean, I think Washington will be fine, but look at some of these games. Like the Bears, they're trying to pick it up offensively. You
Yes.
know, the Giants, they're starting to figure it out. As a little bit. I mean, Devin
Mm-hmm.
Singletary is out, and Malik Neighbors isn't there,
Mm-hmm.
but I Philadelphia still suspect. You
But
know,
it's still, we have to look at these things because when you look at it going forward, and even with Carolina, I've heard people say that's a bye week. That's baloney. I don't think that.
no,
Carolina can play this game. Yes, they're 1-4, but Carolina with Andy Dalton is a different team than they were with Bryce Young, in my opinion. Then you got Chicago, who came off a huge win this week. They got a bye week coming up against us, and we saw that they put 40 some on. We saw that we put 40 some odd, they put up 40 some odd on us last year. You know what I
mm-hmm.
mean? So, and that's not, they didn't have nearly the type of weapons that they have now.
And
So,
that's going to be the game too because it's Lamar. It's excuse me. It's Jaden versus Caleb, and and
exactly.
and I even heard somebody say this was giving Peyton Manning Ryan Leaf.
Yeah. Yeah.
Listen to
Ooh.
me real quick.
Ooh.
Those quarterbacks are nowhere near Peyton and Ryan Leaf.
Mm-mm.
I,
No.
to compare Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams to those two
Mm.
is the most disingenuous, ignorant thing I've ever heard.
Well, maybe better than Ryan Leaf. I mean,
Well, Ryan
not coming out
personally,
of college, but once he got in the league,
league different.
yeah,
College Ryan was great. The
yeah,
the thing was that draft, it was either one.
yeah, exactly,
Peyton, Peyton was the to me, I think the right choice.
yeah,
I didn't know when he was going to come in the league, he would have these attitude issues, all these different things. But to
yeah. And
compare them,
he went to a
but
struggling San Diego
San
team
Diego
as well.
team,
So we didn't know that was going to be the
but
issue.
to
But
compare them as Stephen A. Smith, it's ignorant.
well, and that's the problem I have. And let's finish it off on this because going forward, you have two categories that Jaden is already being propped up in because of those first 4 weeks. For 6 weeks, we'll even include this game.
Yeah.
Rookie of the year, which if you comparing him to the Bo Nix, to the Caleb Williams, the Malik Neighbors, Romo Dunze, yes, his
Mhm.
stats are better than theirs. So if you want to put him in that Rookie of the Year spot, that's great. Then you start going to that stretch of MVP. Okay, now by the definition of MVP, most valuable player, he definitely elevates our team.
Yep.
But he can't play defense. He's not a kicker. He can't catch the balls and all this stuff. If that run game is not working, we saw that there could be struggles and things like that. So miss me with that MVP nonsense. And this is
Agreed.
not a shot at Jaden. This is being realistic. This isn't this I miss me with all this stuff. And I've heard a lot of people say, oh, but he could be great in years to come. Everybody could be great in years to come. Darnold, they said he was going to be great, and then everybody said he was a bust. And now when
Plus,
he's
in
in
it's
Minnesota,
Minnesota 5-0.
so what are we talking about?
The same thing with
Don't
Baker.
yes, they
Yeah.
said that's what they say about Josh flipping Rosen. They said he was going to be something hot. He could have been great in some years. No, you need the
Josh Rosen.
situation to be right. The situation was right for us in Washington. You couple it with great coaching, new ownership, but also very low expectations. We won 4 games last year. So for us to win 4 and to be
Zero
in the game with a team
expectations.
that was almost in the Super Bowl, yes, okay, this is great. Rookie of the year, when you're compared to other rookies, I'll give you that. MVP, go somewhere with that.
Yeah, because especially after that the win against the Bengals, that's what I saw again because I'm on Twitter most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I started seeing some of the Commanders the fan base talking about. Yeah, he's better than Lamar.
Mm-hmm.
After 3 games,
right,
and he beat Joe Burrow.
Right. And that's my problem because a lot of people will say that, and then I'll say, "For real? Like who? Why? What?" And they'll argue back with me. This is what the main people are saying. This is what the analysts are saying. But you see the game with your own eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Are you seconding this? Are you saying this is true? You think that he's the same? Because by you spewing that same stuff, you lead me to believe that that's what you think. He's
No,
not.
I think no.
Let's put it there. Jaden
Jaden,
is not Lamar. Period.
no, not then. I think like they're to me, Jaden was going to be great in this league for years to come
Mm-hmm. If he stays healthy.
if he stays healthy. But also too, if they as a team, if Washington as a team,
Thank you,
builds on the success, like
Nate, tap the mic and say that a little louder, man.
Washington will be great if they build on the success.
Yes.
Like the problem with a lot of the NFL teams today is this reality of, well, we made the playoffs and they don't build on that success. Look at Philadelphia. Like,
yes.
Yeah, they were in the Super Bowl. They haven't built on that. They've just kind of stale.
Right.
Same thing like with even look at Kansas City, even though they're 5-0, like everyone, like I didn't know Hollywood Brown was gonna be out, but they're still the same offense a little bit. But it's how you build on that success matters. Like the rest of the season, Washington could finish 500 for all I know. I don't know that because these games are not won on paper.
Right.
And that's the problem. I think I blame media, and I also too blame fans. It's just these, this people we're going to come in believing, oh, they're going to outscore Baltimore, the number one rushing offense, passing off. Like, stop.
Yeah.
And then
you
on
need
top
to pump
of
your
that,
brakes.
like, calm down. Like again, today was a reality check.
Yeah.
Washington will be just fine. Like you have, to me, I want the narrative to be you have two winning football teams right now that are doing good things.
Right.
There are going to be hiccups. Baltimore was 0-2, and people were crucifying us.
Right.
And now we're 4 straight wins. Washington, first in the NFC East. When have you last heard that?
Right.
But tomorrow I already know on TV there's going to be excuses.
Yeah.
They're going to say, well, Dan Quinn didn't do this. Well, the defense didn't do that.
Miss me with that. Me with it. Because it is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. This was what was supposed to happen. You know what, man? And for real, I'm going to be very honest. We just got to go back to late, great Denny Green.
But they are who we thought they were.
Yep.
Straight up.
Yeah,
they're exactly who we thought they were.
And I know you and Will Kramer are going to talk about it on Washington Football Weekly. I know I'm going to break this game down a little bit more on Big Nate Sports Talk podcast. It's just, I like right now, and also too, there's a lot of emotions in the game. I mean, if you saw, there was a lot of burgundy and gold.
Oh yeah,
at M&T Bank Stadium. I like the energy. People were coming out and supporting. I'm
not for that price though.
Yeah, the
price.
That's ridiculous. I'm not paying $5.
No. I'm gonna take my free $99 and watch it from my house.
Exactly. But I mean, overall, man, I thought it was a good game. Like I said, I knew going into that second half. I said it's going to come down to whose defense makes the big play. Mm-hmm. I was waiting defensively for us to make the big play. I didn't see that. I mean, we allowed 23 points. I'm not gonna lie. Washington should have went for it on that last possession because Mr. Nate Wiggins on Noah Brown celebrating like he got to stop, skipping up the field like he got to stop, and then Goofy.
Goofy, yeah, those two mouthpieces. You saw those two mouthpieces he had. You want to talk about Goofy? But look, I need to address this before we get off here because I know I go hard on all these Washington fans and everything. But one of my family members, shout out to my niece Tori and my cousin, my sister, all of them. They put up this video and I shared it on my story, and it was of what Washington fans how they're going to be dancing at the tailgate. Now, some other fans misconstrued that and said, "Oh, Washington fans are going to be dancing after a win." No. I totally put it up because I thought it was funny, and I read the caption that said we'd be dancing at the tailgate because we were in the game, because we were excited before the game to be there. Not once did I put anything up saying, oh yeah, we're gonna win and we're gonna be dancing and doing all that nonsense. No. So I actually even talked to him about it. I posted on his page about it. I'm not gonna call his name out, but I was definitely one of those that was excited to be in this situation. But no, I did not sit here and post this up like, oh, we about to get this win. We got to no. That wasn't my intention. That's why I don't post a lot of things on something like that, because people misconstrue what I'm trying to say.
I don't blame you.
And I gotta be on here explaining my daggone self. Okay?
You shouldn't have to.
I shouldn't, but I do. I will, and I'm doing too. But look, ladies and gentlemen, yo, this is our recap. I'm so glad I got an opportunity to get Nate on here and for us to talk about this Commanders versus Ravens recap. And hey, all in all, good game.
Absolutely.
30-23. The rivalry that has not been a rivalry for some years, the Battle of the Beltway, is back. And I, for one, am here for it.
Same.
We gonna have to make a run or get to the Super Bowl or something in order to end up playing y'all again. I don't think it's gonna happen this year. Hopefully we get y'all on the schedule and bring y'all down the Beltway to Northwest, baby. Northwest Stadium, baby. Let's go.
It's gonna take me a while to get to say the Northwest Stadium instead of FedEx. It's gonna take me a minute to get used to that.
It's gonna take a while, right? But Big Nate, man, tell them what you got going on in the coming weeks, man.
Okay, so what's happening on my side of the world is obviously we're going to recap this game. It's really just a couple episodes this week. Maryland painfully lost to Northwestern after, but that didn't feel like a bye week. I got to address it on the podcast a little bit because this calling for Mike Loxley's job nonsense is ridiculous, and it's got to stop.
Weird. Those are some goofies, man. I can't.
It's ridiculous. And
the only reason y'all been balling, man. He got Talia State. Okay, I'm gonna let you handle that. I can't wait to watch that.
Yeah, so that was something to watch on Twitter the last couple of days. The WNBA finals, the New York Liberty won today. The series is now tied 1-1. Now it's going to Minnesota. Okay. I've made a decision to finish the 1-1 series for the WNBA finals after the finals, where I'll debrief the Connecticut Sun, the Las Vegas Aces, Minnesota Lynx, and New York Liberty because they were the last 4 teams before the finals. So check that out. And then that's about it. I will post the Washington Mystics and Connecticut Sun exit interviews on Twitter. I know the Mystics had theirs a couple weeks ago, and then General Manager Mike Tebow had his about a week and a half ago. Okay. The Sun literally had theirs on Tuesday.
Okay.
I want to say it was. So I'll have that post on the YouTube channel. And that's pretty much all that's happening at the moment with Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. We have reached our 400th episode of the podcast. I know, 400 episodes. So that's a huge milestone a little bit. But and then also too, Maryland women's basketball is approaching soon. We're getting ready for the preseason, also the men's as well. So you'll check that out at marylandsportsblog.com. You can also check out some other content as far as also Team NBS Media. That's where I'll post most of my YouTube stuff on their channel. I
was talking after you came on the show on Wednesday, and you were talking to me about that offline, but I don't know if you shared it on there. You're with a new group, right? Or
so it's they're called Team NBS Media. Essentially, it's a group of people that's essentially like a little media network. And it's not like ESPN or anything. They're just a growing network. Shout out to Joe. He's actually from the DMV area. I actually was going back and forth with him for about a year.
Nice.
And finally made the decision to say, hey, let's X, Y, and Z. Let's make some moves. So basically, it's just everyone just does a show like Let's Talk Football. Ranging from NFL, baseball. I was going to do celebrity stuff, different things like that. But I'm just kind of strictly focusing on Maryland sports. Okay. So Maryland Sports Blog, you're still going to get content from me. Shout out to Brian Hardowski. Still going to be with them. Still rock with the Let's Talk Football family. But it's just, look at another opportunity. Just got to take the opportunities that are given to you. So shout out to Joe. Cardarso for the opportunity. I know I may have botched his last name, but shout out to him for the opportunity. And also Brian Herdowski, shout out to him from MarylandSportsBlog.com. So, yeah, that's what's happening on my side of the world. Yeah, and in Maryland, I gotta talk about that.
Hey, listen. All right, when you lose 4 straight, like my Tar Heels, okay.
Rest in peace. I really want some thoughts and prayers. Tyler Crabb, really thoughts and prayers for him, man.
To the family.
When I saw that, I was like, damn. And I didn't know, and his mom and his family was at the game, so that's
prayers to them. Right. He lost his battle with cancer, and it's just it's a shame. And I felt bad being a diehard Carolina fan that, shout out to Ben Cornett, host of 2-3 Ben Zone. He shared it with me. And I'm like, Dag, man, you more into this than I am, because I didn't even know. But I started seeing it show up on different places, and it's sad, man. This guy was a South Carolina legend in high school coming in. He played North Carolina, and, the North Carolina, team and, the whole family, engulfed him and his family. And it stinks that it happened. You knew he was battling with it. But, fortunately he's not in any pain anymore. And we just pray for his family. Pray for all those involved, man. You never know, man. You never know. So listen, for me, Let's Talk Football is in full swing. Tomorrow we got, I believe, Janae and I are going to try to go back on either tomorrow or Tuesday for Let's
You shouldn't even be talking, Janae, because the Dallas Cowboys are losing to the Detroit Lions.
Getting whooped. So we're still on top of the division. Let's go. So definitely got to shout out, Let's Talk Football. Shout out the creator of your background music,
Mr. Anthony Handy.
Mr. Fingers. Him and Colin P from the DMV will be on this week in Georgia football. We definitely
should have beaten Alabama.
Well, I disagree. We're gonna talk about that later on.
Yeah, we are, for sure.
Shout out to them. Then obviously, Let's Talk our college football update. Myself, Alex Loosemore. Shout out to him on Tuesday. Wednesday, Washington Football Weekly. Thursday, Let's Talk Football Ladies Takeover. And I'm trying to come up with a show on Friday where it's more of like a recap show where I can do little clips from each of the shows, because Tuesday is also Let's Talk Football, the Roundtable. So I think this week the Thursday show I think they're every other week. So, but the Roundtable is this week. So I'm trying to do a show on Friday where I can have little clips from each of the shows and kind of do a little recap of them and just run through that. I'll be in touch with you, and I'll kind of put that out there and see
for sure.
So and then Saturday,
watch the Football Weekly.
Oh yeah, on Wednesday. Oh yeah, Wednesday night. And then Saturdays, Let's Talk College Football. So hey, we got so much stuff going. We're trying to pick this thing up off the ground. Let's Talk Football and go and really make it something big, man. So definitely shout out to you, Nate, for always being available, always coming in to talk this game, and for y'all getting lucky. It was a convincing win. You got it done. Shout out to you, Nate, man. You got it done. I'm just glad, like you said, the DMV is back, ladies and gentlemen.
It's back.
DMV is back as far as NFL football is concerned.
Yeah, once we get it,
I don't know.
Baseball's there. Right. The Nationals are up and coming.
Once we get
Orioles. Once we get we don't have a basketball team, but the Wizards and the Capitals, they'll get together, and then
the Caps and the WNBA are the Mystics. They both had championships in the last 10 years, so we can shout them out. The Wizards,
football
Commanders. Come on, guys, I need it. Yo, so we're out of here, ladies and gentlemen. We will see you next time. Stay tuned. Also, Let's Talk Football Late Night. My guy, myself, we will be back here later on. We got some interesting topics we want to talk about, including those Georgia Bulldogs, because Coach Kirby Smart pushing, And then speaking of pushing, we also got to talk about how Aaron Rodgers pushed Robert Saleh out of New York. There's a lot of stuff we got to talk about.
We definitely going to talk about that one.
Oh, yeah. We definitely going to bring it up a little bit later tonight. But, hey, for my guy, Mr. Nathan Snell, it's your boy, Sean Spencer. We appreciate y'all being here with us. Hey, we'll see y'all next time. Peace.
Peace.
Let's go, Tar Heels. You already know what it is.
Really?
Dun, 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 dun.